wanna see this. Yeah. Hey, I remember.
I'm Paul Warren.
And I'm Ryan Klein.
And this is another episode of SEO is Dead and Other Lies. So today we're going to be talking about companies that we hate to work with, companies that make your life a living hell if you're in the SEO industry. And basically we're going to call this the 5 whys of SEO hell.
And it's appropriate that they all start with why, because you're already laughing ahead of time saying, why in the world would you ever work with these companies?
There's no reason to. You're really forced to work with them, and that's why you have to deal with these people. Otherwise, you would have nothing to do with these companies based on how they're structured and what their pricing is, and just dealing with the people that work there. It's just a nightmare.
Well, this is going to be a fun one. So let's run through the 5 whys, and these are all these companies happen to start with the letter Y. So
there's Yahoo, there's Yext, there is Yodel, there is Yelp. What's the last one?
What is the last one? When we recited it beforehand, and it sounded like 5. Let's count again. So Yahoo, Yext, Yelp, Yodel, and
Yellow Pages.
Yellow
Boom.
Pages. Nice. Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like we should have probably thought about writing this down before we started this podcast.
It would have been very easy to just have written it down because we would just read it off a sheet. Anyway,
I've never seen us both have a brain fart at the exact same time.
Oh yeah, everyone should know for the record that we're yet to be working with notes or any reference points or bullet points or anything.
Yeah, we're also pretty drunk through most of these as well.
Well, it starts off not so much.
It gets worse towards the end of it, which you may have noticed if you've ever listened to this podcast. So,
okay, which one do you want to start with?
Let's go ahead and start. Let's start with Yelp.
Yelp's a cool one.
So I'm actually having to deal with Yelp right now.
Well, let's these are going to be very story-driven and anecdotal. So it's going to be a lot of examples.
Real-life experiences.
It's not just like they stink and because I feel like it. Like, we're going to tell you all the stories.
We're going to tell you why we hate them. You may not hate them. You may like them. Maybe they make you money. I don't know. But we just hate dealing with them, and we're telling you why.
I mean, this is some of them we worked with for a couple of years, and some of them we're talking about 7+. So this is like, you know, we're worked up to the point where this is multiple occasions where we feel very confident in standing behind our decision to say why.
Yeah, it's not like they made a bad first impression. They've made a bad impression for life.
I'll say with Yelp, I've had at least 8 or 10 failed campaigns over the course of 7 years. So why don't you proceed with yours?
So outside of charging you a ridiculous amount of money to advertise with Yelp,
saying maybe relative to most things that are out there, I'd say so.
For the service that you get, having no way of tracking it, I think the biggest pain to me is that the process to remove a negative review, even if it's like fake, whatever, is sort of ridiculous. I mean, there is a process which is better than a lot of other places. I mean, that's better than I would say even like Google's, because with Google's you can just sort of like flag it as like inappropriate and you got to hope for the best. So at least there is something in place. But generally speaking, if people claim your business or if someone else has claimed your business, it's sort of a nightmare to like get everything like sorted out to like claim those things, and then it's like a nightmare to like manage them from a price standpoint.
I'd say also when you're talking about, you're getting right into the review aspect of it. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just talking about performance, but let's definitely talk about the reviews. When it comes to the reviews, they are definitely kind of like spearheading that anti-pre-check sentiment, the anti-soliciting for reviews, anti-anything, like the most...
which is ridiculous because you're in the business of having reviews.
I'm surprised that they even give out stickers that say check us out on Yelp anymore. They want it to be just the most pure, just odd.
Well, now there's a penalty organic. If they catch you soliciting reviews.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're taking this like pre-check sentiment and this solicitation like to a level that's like so beyond anything that I really feel is necessary. And on top of that, other companies that are even bigger than Yelp, such as Google, are actually feeling that they should follow in their footsteps, which is not good.
I found that ridiculous. But so Search Engine Land did an article that's up there right now about the penalty from requesting reviews on Yelp and what happens to it and stuff.
So what's it look like right now?
Well, I don't want to talk about that.
What the penalty looks like?
Well, yeah, like I don't want to get into like all that on this podcast. I don't know, like
this is big picture stuff.
We're gonna just talk about like why we hate them right now. Okay.
Well, it's because everything they're doing is leading to these things. Because Google now doesn't want to do pre-check sentiment, and I already have a little bit of proof that shows that if Google knows that you referred someone to a review, there might be odds that it might be taken down afterwards because they see that being referred from different websites that are known for soliciting reviews.
So the problem that I have with that, and so we're getting a little off topic, but
it's big.
We'll talk about like reviews
stuff,
right? So what's become an even larger ranking signal locally is reviews, especially like negative reviews. Where negative reviews will affect your ranking in the 3-pack. Like anyone can say that it doesn't, but I promise you, I've run countless tests. It will absolutely affect your ranking in the short term, at least in the 3-pack. Yeah. And so if they're gonna make it a ranking factor, right? They're gonna make it that important. Like they shouldn't just say, "Oh well, hope for the best company," and hope that you get them. Maybe because like, how often do you really leave reviews for things? I mean, even things that you like.
You do for restaurants and retail. And like that, I don't know what else.
But like personally, how often do you leave a review for something that you like? It's pretty rare,
it's
right? It's
very remote. I mean, I have to. It has to be an extreme. It has to be like one of the best experiences I've had in a long period of time, or it has to be something that was so gut wrenching that I felt that I have to let other people know about.
I would say generally people are compelled to leave a review because it's a negative experience more than it's a positive experience.
What was the stat or like kind of the rule of thumb for every one positive review that people naturally leave, there's probably about 5 negative that people would be compelled to leave.
So I'm actually even dealing with this right now in my current job. We saw a huge dip in calls from a location-based business that we have, and the only thing we could tie it back to like what happened that correlated from like a time standpoint with like the drop was this 1-star review, no comment, by the way.
Wonderful.
1 star. This wasn't in Google. It wasn't in Yelp or anything.
Yep.
But someone had closed our Yelp page. They had marked it as closed.
That's wonderful.
Which actually caused a bunch of problems with all of our citations for that location. And so it's like no one bothered to check and review to see if that place was still open. You know, like they marked it as closed. There was literally a review from like 3 weeks ago that it was open.
And they just
all you have to do is call that number to see if it's open. But somebody, we think it was a competitor, marked it as closed in the area.
An 80% chance of that.
I mean, like you wouldn't. Who else is going to mark that close? You know.
No.
So, fortunately, we were able to get that fixed. If we hadn't had it already claimed, so I kind of took over doing all the local SEO for this, and I've been thrown into it, but they don't have everything organized, and so I just knew it was claimed. I didn't know who claimed our Yelp listing, and I was like, man, I just hope that it's an email address for this company that I work for, and like we can figure it out. Like maybe it's something that doesn't work anymore, and we can just reset the password or whatever. And that's ended up being like what it was, but there was like a chance it could have not been ours. It could have been like a competitor. Like you never know how people are going to go.
I think that's like I think to circle back to what we're talking about with Yelp is definitely 2 things: the big picture about how they're kind of spearheading this whole movement of like how seriously like reviews have to be taken, and all these other companies, including Google, are like following suit, which is I think it's definitely going in the wrong direction. And then the second thing is the likelihood of correcting something negative seems impossible. Is like impossible, but like it's just so much easier for something negative to happen instead of like trying to take all the right steps to get something positive going.
And like you have every right as a business owner to ask for a positive review for your business. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It shouldn't be looked at in a negative like light.
It's honestly, it's like a guilt trip. Like you should be so good at what you do, and you should be the best, product or service in your area, that people just naturally always want to do these reviews, and that's not how it works. That's not how it's going to work.
That's like if people went to your restaurant, they had a really good time, and before they left, you're like, oh, hey, tell your friends about us. Is that wrong to do that? Is it wrong to ask for a positive review when people have had a positive experience at your restaurant because you've done a good job? I don't think it is. Because
that's
no one's asking for negative reviews. They're going to come in regardless of what the situation is. So you shouldn't be penalized for asking for a positive review. It's preposterous.
So I guess going back to why invariably we don't like working with Yelp specifically.
This is part of it.
I mean, so what will happen is, so you're a business owner, you get solicited by Yelp, and you know you're going to be pitched by them, and someone from Yelp is going to be like, you know what Yelp is? Everyone knows what Yelp is. Sure, fine. So I think right off the bat, we all know that 90 to 95% of businesses probably only have a couple Yelp reviews, probably 0 to 2 Yelp reviews. So you're going to have sales reps that are probably going to like really try to convince you that you should have promoted ads and you should have like preferred placement for a business with like 1 review. I mean, like, what in the world is that possibly going to do?
It's not, and it's so I can't imagine the sales job that a Yelp salesman has to deal with. By the way, I've been out there. It's tough.
Sell. I've been to their headquarters in New York before, and there are a lot of, I don't know, youngins. You got your people that are aspiring in their 20s running around there trying to make sales, and yeah, it's a tough pitch. I mean, especially since their pitches are in the hundreds of dollars. Their pitches are tough for a lot of small to medium-sized businesses, for sure, with the promise of what they may receive for having a plumbing company with two stars and 4 reviews.
I've never worked anywhere
in your life.
And in my life. I've never worked anywhere where Yelp was a part of the marketing mix that generated revenue.
I'd say I've spent so much more time trying to convey to reps via analytics and call reporting and like form submissions that the campaign wasn't working than like talking to the business owner about how the ROI was actually like met and we're happy about like what was happening.
So for me, and I feel like for most SEOs out there, Yelp is going to be a citation that you have to have and you have to deal with for local SEO. If you have a local client and you have to deal with like the reviews on it, hopefully you don't get caught asking for reviews and get penalized for that, which is stupid. So I think we've said all we're going to talk about Yelp right now.
I got a little bit more though. Yeah. Well, the thing is just like we just did one. So they'll convince you all day that it works for lawyers, and it doesn't work for lawyers because I've done about 5 or 6 campaigns for lawyers, and they've spent thousands of dollars and they haven't gotten a single lead. So let's not even go there. I've done it for a couple of restaurants, and they've always broken even, which is fine, but they pretty much broke even. And then as far as like maybe other companies, like a storage facility, it's just like one of those things. I think that their like return on investment is like 1 to 1 or like 1.5 to 1. Meaning like they recover money, but that's not even including like, I don't know, their personnel, like having to talk to them and then checking them in, and then all the other costs associated with closing it. So it's just a tough one, and their salespeople are pretty aggressive, and they'll tell you all day that this is gonna work, and then most of the time they lock you in for a 12-month contract. By the way,
it's like Yelp is Google to them. They're like, oh, you're gonna get all the leads that you would get just from Google.
That's what they say. They go, we're Yelp. Everyone uses Yelp, and that's it. But you know what? Not everyone uses Yelp, and that's the fact.
I don't think most people use Yelp. I think maybe they look at a review,
especially for the industries. I mean, like we say, restaurants, bars, fine, retail, like a couple like odd things here and there. We're talking about like 2% of businesses.
So, all right. So let's roll into our next company that we dislike, and that's Yellow Pages.
Yellow Pages.
So,
do you want to lead with that?
I have a great story about Yellow Pages.
I'll tell my story after. It's pretty funny.
All right. Okay. So it's not even so much that I do dislike dealing with Yellow Pages. So I've done a lot of local SEO over the years. I would say I'm pretty good at it. And one of the things that you always have to deal with is merging duplicate citations, closing old sites, whatever. Companies move. They have a different phone number. You have to do all that stuff. It's just part of life, right? They have tracking phone numbers. So you're going to have to deal with duplicate citations at some point. If it's like an older company or it's been around for a while or they have multiple locations. Dealing with Yellow Pages, getting those closed, like just getting incorrect information deleted from that site is a giant pain in the ass. It can take months and months to actually get that. If you're lucky enough to have a rep talk to you on the phone that isn't the one that you pay a bunch of money to because you have additional services from Yellow Pages, you're probably just never. Maybe you'll wait 3 hours for an actual person to pick up the phone and talk to you about Yellow Pages. I've definitely been sitting at my desk, had the phone on, whatever the music they're playing on hold, for 3 hours.
That's
and
like
finally got through.
Comcast. That's like Comcast status.
Yeah, and one of the things too that I hate is when these companies sign agreements with a third party to manage your citations. Now, I don't think Yellow Pages has anything with like Yext at the moment. They
might, though.
But it's definitely like
the Y's stick together.
They definitely want you to do it through that instead of like through their own site, which they created. You know what I mean?
Does YP, and then YP is like the hip way of saying Yellow Pages, of course. It'd be funny. The people out there, oh yeah, YP, Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember when I worked for this attorney here in Orlando, Ryan also worked for the same attorney, which is how we met. He had an account with Yellow Pages that was offering some services, like additional like advertising services. And I think one of the things they had as well was like there was an SEO component to it.
What were they saying that the SEO component was comprised of?
I don't remember. Maybe I have no idea. They didn't do anything.
Visibility booster, something
like that. So they didn't do a single thing when we were there. But I remember we met with the rep, and we had done really well.
Was it your rep that? I don't want to offend any older people, but the reps were probably in their 70s.
No. This guy was he was like in his mid 30s to early 40s, right?
It's like, what are you doing here?
So he came in, he met with us, he showed us all of the stupid stuff about like the traffic that he'd driven on like the Yellow Pages site for the listing and all this stuff, which we know we were pretty good at tracking where the leads were coming from, so we knew.
You know, YP did like a little bit back then.
A little bit.
But we're talking like 4 years ago.
But and then like we showed him like what we had done for the site and like all the rankings and stuff and the work, and he was like, yeah, if I were you guys, I probably wouldn't get the website component anymore.
Oh, he's like, you're probably good. We probably can't do that much.
Yeah, he was like, yeah.
This is for people like on the 8th page.
Yeah, he was like, don't worry, we're ripping you off.
This is perfect for people.
We're definitely like, which is really solid of him to be like, it's a waste of money. I don't want to rip you off to your face.
He's like, the website boosters for people that are on the 8th page and they want to get around the 5th or 6th page.
What's amazing is the amount of people and what they pay. I mean, because some doctors and stuff will pay like $5,000 a month in contracts to Yellow Pages to like handle all this stuff for them, and they don't do anything.
Well, don't they like nowadays that one of their points is like, we'll throw you back in the old school Yellow Pages book because people still use that, right? And they use that as like leverage at all.
Because
they did back then as
you mean like the
leverage.
actual paper printed book?
Yeah, they're like, if you sign this, we'll throw you in there.
Do you know what's really interesting about
just for old time's sake?
You know what's really interesting about phone books is that is how you can tell the years in a garbage dump. You can dig down, and just like the layers of like rings on a tree, garbage dumps have whole layers of phone books because everyone throws that shit out when they get it. Yeah. And it's like, and so there's just like a whole pile of phone books over an entire garbage dump.
Are they right next to the AOL CDs?
Probably. Oh man, AOL was great.
Yeah, that's what was that?
AOL is still around. I don't know what they do. I don't know who uses it, but it's still a thing.
They use it mostly for email. I still get emails, and you can tell how to talk to someone a little bit differently.
Every now and then, I'll see an AOL email that someone uses, and I'll be like, "What year?"
That's like probably the only time in my life where I use the phrase, "Oh, that's cute."
That is cute. That is the best way to respond to that. It's like, oh, that's really cute.
But yeah.
I want to point out right now, like how good our podcast probably sounds. I mean, maybe not what we're saying, but like the quality of it. This is probably the first time we've had quality for our podcast at this level.
Yeah, we were before we were calling in from our cell phones, and it was to a remote location.
I was actually calling an answering machine and having it recorded, and then playing that into a mic.
Playing that back.
Yeah,
a garbage chute.
Like, what the hell is an answering machine? But yeah, so I think it's good that we're stepping this up a notch here with the quality.
It's only going to get better.
I don't even know how
we're going to be going to the Full Sail studio pretty soon.
We're taking it to the next level.
We're getting some interns to do some work with us. That's actually not even the worst idea.
Yeah, maybe we'll have some like actual like sound effects going on
once we pass 50 downloads, which
or at 48.
Refresh.
We really need that 50. We're gonna celebrate.
That's the threshold.
We're gonna do 50 shots when we get to 50 downloads.
50 shots
of water
of buttery nipples.
All right, getting back on topic here.
So Yellow Pages.
Let's hear your story about Yellow Pages.
Oh yeah, I mean, like Yellow Pages, to kind of sum it up, I mean, they're a technology that they're trying really hard to like really keep up with what's going on nowadays, but just every step of the way, I think that it's just kind of a lost cause. And I remember I was working at this said law firm, and It's like, oh, there's a couple reps from Yellow Pages that want to meet with you in the fishbowl. So okay, and I get in there, and I think 24, 25 at the time, and these two guys come in, and they're like 70 years old, and they sit down, and
that's who I want telling me my digital marketing.
I know, and they sit down, they're like, well, you look like a strapping young computer guy. You're going to probably know all this stuff already. Would you like
some milk in a Werther's original from my cardigan pocket?
You're a youngster. You know all this Google stuff. And, they were showing
But they actually said that, too. They're like, oh, you look like you know all this Google stuff.
I don't think I'm exaggerating. This is like exactly.
I can see that conversation.
This is verbatim. And, we went through it, and I'm just like, I guess you're trying your best to describe what the product is, and needless to say, like, they didn't really go anywhere, and I kind of feel like that was the embodiment of the technology and the abilities nowadays, because I don't really know what they're up to, but I'd say that out of all the whys, like, why would you do that? YP, I don't really hate them. I just would never encourage anyone to use them for any good reason.
I would say... Yeah, my level of hatred for YP isn't at the same as it is for like the ones we're going to talk about next.
Because they're straight up nefarious. Sometimes
I would actually say it's at the bottom. So if we were starting at the bottom or the top, I would have started with that. We didn't, obviously.
We'll rank them. We'll rank them from personal preference at the end of this conversation. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
So that's because
it's more like I kind of feel bad for him.
Well, because like we're gonna move on to Yahoo now, and I also don't really hate Yahoo. I just don't see what the purpose.
I hate Yahoo's business, like
leadership, like corporate level.
No, I don't even know if that exists anymore. I don't even know what they're doing. I just hate their business practices. Like I hate the way they treat like their customers, the way they interact with their customers, the way they like listen to their customers' problems. I hate all of that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't even know. Ever since Marissa Mayer got let go from that company, which I think everyone saw that happening years before. What was interesting about that is like the public hated her for some reason. I don't know if it was because she was a woman.
Super snarky.
I think it was like everyone just thought she was a bitch. Even though maybe she wasn't. I don't know. I don't know her as like a person.
I honestly don't.
But like it was like one of those like people that like the public generally hated for some reason. They just didn't like her.
I guess now we have a 6 why.
Oh why? Yeah. Why?
We'll leave that for another day.
Anyways.
But yeah, I mean as far as the search engine, which is pretty much interchangeable with Bing, I just think it's pretty much garbage.
Oh, I don't even think it is a thing anymore, right? They merged it with Bing
they did. Well, so yeah,
but you can still use it, but it just goes through Bing's.
They just use
index.
the same. They just use like the same algorithm at this point.
Yeah,
or is it a separate algorithm, or
I think
or is it just
they just on my phone right now?
I think they basically use pretty much the same algorithm, and
well, no, like Bing bought it. They own or they merged or something. They bought the algorithm.
Whatever it is, if you do Yahoo Places, it's a crap process. If you use their search engine,
you still can use it.
Remember, like they had like that Bing versus Google challenge where they're like, which search results are better?
Oh,
and then everyone's like, Bing. Oh my God, it's Bing. Like,
why would anyone have a preference?
Dude, if you do like a Yahoo search for anything, it's pure crap. Like if you do searches for anything that's local, like I don't know, Orlando Personal Jeweler to Maitland Plumbing Company to freaking Las Vegas AC installer, like the results, do you know what they're gonna have? Tons of landing pages from like half-ass SEOs that'll rank like in the top 3.
What's crazy is when you search college football on Yahoo, you know what the number 2 ranking is?
Yahoo Fantasy Football.
No. Bleacher Report.
Oh, great.
I think that's really interesting.
I just like
Bleacher Report is above CBS Sports and NCAA.
You know one thing I hate? I bet you
it's above Yahoo's own sports page, which is interesting.
I bet you that Yahoo loves when you put keywords in your domain name.
Oh, I bet
what they love.
No, I mean because it's like the same thing as like Bing, right? It's the same algorithm, which I already know Bing loves it when you put keywords in the domain name, which is garbage. Like Bing is like if Google stopped updating their algorithm 10 years ago. That is like literally what Bing's algorithm is like. All the spammy stuff that worked in Google 10 years ago works now in Bing.
Yeah, Yahoo like reminds me of like someone that's like, you can't put a fast one on me, but like turns around at the last second, like winks at you. It's like, yeah, you could probably do this. You could probably do it. I don't care.
The only time I use Bing is when have a new computer and I have like Microsoft Edge, which is the new Explorer, and I am using it to get to Google Chrome. That's pretty much it.
When's the last time you saw a Yahoo commercial and they're like, Yahoo? Like, when was the last time you saw this?
That hasn't been since like the early 2000s, man. Like that's real old. Yeah. We're really dating ourselves right now.
It was really great when it lasted.
Anyway, so let's get back on why we hate Yahoo. I
don't know. It's just isn't very good. If you do any results and you compare it to Google,
I'll tell you why I particularly hate Yahoo. Is if there's a listing for your business, right? Citation on there that's incorrect. Your only option
that's a good
to get rid of that, to deal with that, is to own an account at Yext, which is also on our list of things that we hate.
That's a segue,
right? So if you want to deal with that, you want to fix their mistakes, which often it is their mistakes, because like maybe there's a "the" in front of your business, and then someone referenced it without the, and all of a sudden they made 2 accounts for your business, or like there's like a million reasons why there could be multiple listings for your business, but they're all gonna like kind of cause you problems in local SEO. So if you have all that, the worst thing about it is like, hey, now go and pay $500 annually
for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life to manage this. Oh, and if you don't pay it, we forget that we fixed it and we let the crap go back to how
they literally will. So is there?
It's like they're hijacking your business information from you, and like they're literally like robbing you.
It's really like one of the most evil, nefarious like business models that's out there. Besides the next company we're going to talk about,
it is legit nefarious.
I mean, think about it. I mean, so what they do is they only like correct like 300 or 400 listings, $500 annually. Okay, there's 300 listings. There's arguably thousands that are out there, but they pick like 300. And then there's no way, no matter what you do, that your business information is going to be set up properly to begin with, because God knows what they're doing on their end. And exactly what happens, they'll fix it in quotation marks for annually, and if you don't renew, they will literally undo all the corrections that they did.
It's insane.
And leave you back to where you were, which is like, what thing in the world is like that?
So it's wrong. It's super annoying. It's stupid. That's why I don't like them. Also, if you want to like talk to anyone there, you can't.
Oh, that's
can't talk to anyone there. There's no phone support. There's I think there's like a question forum that no one ever responds to. There's no way to contact anyone that works at Yahoo at all.
We even had like a partner account because like a handful of our clients like were on Yext back in the day, and even as like a partner, we had a rep that didn't answer the phone or emails.
Yeah. So I think like the way that they treat, I don't think it should be considered. I don't even know why Google considers it a citation source, honestly, because their competition, like Google doesn't look at Bing as a major source like of information for citation. Like Bing Maps doesn't do that at all.
Why? Yeah.
Why does it use Yahoo?
It's like our maps are better anyway.
Use Yahoo.
We already got that.
It's like ridiculous. And I mean, like, if you have multiple ones out there, it's not the biggest, like, it's not the end of the world for your rankings. Like, there's a lot of ways to, like, supplement this and make up for it. But just for good housekeeping, you want to have, like, everything in place, especially if you're starting, like, a new business.
Well, Yext would take it to another level. Another reason why I don't like it is because of how much they have to rely on scare tactics. So their whole model is like, enter in your business name and like see how you fare. And then they do it and they're like, 47% of your listings are awful. And then it just shows freaking X's and red everywhere. Wrong.
Moz does that too, but it's like not as negative.
But Yext is like their whole like everything revolves around like the scare tactic.
That's true. All right, we're not even talking about Yext yet. But we'll talk about Yext next.
No, we are talking about Yext.
No, we were talking about Yahoo.
Oh, I thought we just already transitioned to Yext.
Okay. All right.
I thought you segued it because you said
that's fine.
Because Yahoo Yahoo lets Yext make sure that it can only be the partner.
My company that that I'm at right now, they for some reason have a Bright Local and a Yext account. So if you know about Bright Local, I don't use words and say brands and shit that people don't know about, so I'll explain it. Bright Local, what's the other one? White Spark.
Yeah, we like White Spark.
White Spark's great. So they actually have accounts for Bright Local, White Spark, and Yext. They don't have Moz Local, so they don't have the trifecta.
I think they'll be okay with that.
So, but I'm in the process of canceling accounts that I don't want with these things, and Yext is first on the chopping block of something I want to get rid of.
Honestly, none of my clients have Yext at this point, and no one cares.
I don't want to use Yext out of spite.
Well, we don't use it because we have people that manually build all our citations, and they don't get they don't get reverted back a year later.
I will say that using a software to build some of those, it can be cheaper because some of those websites are kind of costly to claim and like add a citation or edit your citation. Like some of them can be like over $100, and you'll pay less than $100
for it
for like a year for all that stuff. I would say, yeah, Yext for me is the slimiest company. It's the hardest to get a hold of.
Is that going to be your number one?
Well, we're about to talk about.
We're going to talk.
Probably
that's my number
will
one.
Be our number one.
That's your number one too, man. You must have good stories too.
Well, I think I have similar stories that we both have because we worked at the same place where like we had to deal with the same people calling us. But you have a recent story, so let's just. Instead of keeping everyone in suspense, let's just tell them what the next one is.
Well, of course, if you were paying attention, you were taking notes like we didn't at the beginning of the podcast, you know that all that's left is Yodel.
All right, Yodel. So tell them a little specifically about what Yodel does.
Well, Yodel is a little bit enigma because my perception of what they do always changes because I never know what they do. So at one moment, it could be... I don't want to... This isn't going to be...
No, fuck Yodel. Yodel, if anyone that's working Yodel hears this, go fuck yourself.
I'm going to try to do a benefit of doubt. And this is going to be slanderous because this is honestly exactly what happened.
It's not slander if you're telling what happened.
I'm telling exactly what happened to all my clients.
Slander is lying. Okay. We're just telling the truth.
I've had people that worked with Yodel, and this is what they told me after they started working with me, is that...
This boiler room of a Miami workplace,
so
by the way.
What is Yodel?
And everything awful in SEO happens in Miami for some reason.
I actually think it's really funny.
It's like the Moss Isleys of SEO is Miami.
So it's my understanding that their model is as follows. So basically, Yodel has a model where they kind of fill in like this pretty specific place where people like it's really just small businesses mostly, maybe like a couple medium sized, but it's people that like literally have no marketing budget, and then people from Yodel or like salespeople are hyper aggressive, and they're like, hey, listen, we can do your marketing for like legit like $100 to $150 a month, like unheard of. No SEO company can do that. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So they're
doing nothing.
The reason they do is because they don't do anything. So what it is like the model is they do it for like
this is a brilliant model.
It's
if you're a piece of shit.
Like people spend like $150 a month, and basically they don't do anything. And if your business somehow naturally just goes up in rankings or gets more traffic, cool, Yodel did it. Cool. If you don't, then you drop them and they say, see you later.
It's the algorithm updates.
Or you say, see you later. They said, maybe you're just not in the right package.
Oh yeah, you gotta upgrade.
And they melt it.
Upgrade now.
And then if you upgrade, maybe they start writing like half a blog a month. But so basically, this is what I've seen for 3 people I worked with, because they came to me and I was like, what was your website before you started working with Yodel? Like this? What was it like after Yodel? This? And I was like, there's no pages, no plus, there's nothing. Nothing.
They did nothing. They did absolutely nothing.
So it's just nothing. So it's an interesting model. It's just hire like an ungodly amount of salespeople, and then just keep on getting more and more and more and more and more people, and then to make up for all the people you're losing every day. So, like I said, from what I've patched together the past 7 years, and that's the premise. So let's get into the stories.
Okay.
That corroborate.
All right. Tell because this is very recent. So I'm gonna go first.
So yeah, one of my most recent clients is an exterminator in Brooklyn, New York, and he had a Yodel website, and I think that, like I said, it's a little ambiguous, like what they've been doing all these years. But like more recently, it seems like I guess they kind of like did stuff, because he ranked like pretty well for some keywords. But the website looked freaking awful. So I guess he was with them for like a really, really, really long time. Because the website looks like it's freaking 14 years old. And I guess he was just sick of them, or he had no communication, no reps. Maybe he had no movement. Maybe it's because he's been working with them for 7 years and he's still not on the first page for any keywords, that he was fed up. But basically, he went with us and he's like, cool, you guys sound like great, let's get rolling. So he wanted to get his old domain, which is like pretty much branded to his freaking name, so it'd be no use to anyone else. It's not like generic like Pest Control Brooklyn. It's like his freaking company name. And Yodel's like, we don't want to give you your domain. And he's like, well, how do I get it? Like, yeah, it's going to be freaking $300. And it's like, yeah, domain costs about $10 a year. So I don't know. That sounds pretty freaking egregious to get a dang domain name after it was like freaking bitter partying that you're going to charge 30 times more for a domain name. That's not even the worst of it, because you don't really care about that part of it. But
it's just wrong. It's
just like the lack of
I'm not saying it should be illegal, because I don't think it can be enforced, because like what I mean, domain brokers exist. It's stupid and annoying, but they exist.
But think about it this way.
I don't know if it's wrong.
It's not even so much as
I think that this particular case is wrong.
But think about this. It's not so much as $300. Fine. Like, okay, it has value. Maybe like some of those keywords you could price it to be like sort of close. But think about it this way. It's the fact that they like bought it on his behalf and then robbed him of ownership.
Yeah,
they took advantage of the situation.
And if you're doing something on the behalf of a client like that,
why would you ever do that? Why would you ever?
Like, that's wrong.
Because you know what your intention is. Your intention is, A, I'm taking this domain hostage as leverage for him to never leave, and then B, if he does leave, screw him. I'm going to charge 30 times more than the domain cost.
It's just legitimately wrong.
It's just preemptively, like there's nothing like legitimate or like ethical about doing that. There just isn't.
It's unethical.
So
that's entirely what it is.
But then that's the most recent, and then the oldest story was their salespeople are crazy aggressive.
Oh my god!
If you ever imagine, they will call you. I think they call twice a day. The same person will call twice a day. So there's one time
you'll talk to them and be like, "I'm not interested right now,"
and
they'll call you back.
And then you'll say, "If you keep
4 hours later,
if you call me again, I'm gonna like report you or whatever," and they'll call again. So there's one time that they did, and we like recorded the calls, and then we had it logged, and I submitted it to the Better Business Bureau, and then like the next day, the VP of like client relations reached out and was like, "I promise we really won't call ever again." I said, "If you really call again, not only like as a Better Business Bureau start."
Did they call again?
No, I don't, not to my knowledge. But I said, we're also a law firm, so we're gonna push like the limits of the law too, because why not? I don't know if that falls into that FDCPA or TCPA. No, that's for like credit stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's kind of like what my personal take is on Yodel, because I think inherently that's a company that truly, genuinely does not give a shit about anyone more than anything I've almost ever seen.
So I think
besides Comcast.
I remember looking at a backlink profile of I think they had like a directory or something they were doing, and I they were trying to sell a directory to us.
Yodel has a directory?
Yeah, they had that as a service for like a little bit.
Get out.
And I looked at the backlink.
Was it the Yodel?
No. And it was like all SAPE links, so from like Russian sites.
Cool. That's really helpful.
Interesting.
It's about as helpful as working with them in the first place.
This is not going to last very long in the rankings at all, my friend.
But really, the main part of it, why I hate them so much, is like
their level of high pressure sales. Being called, I've been called 3 times in a day from this like hack company, and I've literally yelled at them like, "I do not want to talk to you. We are not going to buy this service." And then 2 days later, a different rep calls us 3 times. And it's just nonstop being hounded to like purchase.
They're crazy. They're probably hopped up on like Adderall and
I don't
Xanax, or they're
But
probably drunk.
the thing
and-
is when, this is when I was working at a law firm. When the
Phone rings at a law firm, you
answer the phone.
yeah,
You can't just let it go to your voicemail or whatever.
I mean,
you answer the
they're
phone. You answer
occupying
the
that
call.
phone.
yeah, and like we need that time to talk to
And
like,
receptionists
actual
are like
people.
most are pretty good at screening nowadays because the shape of the
Now,
world. The
but
world
there was
is,
a time when like
well, 7 years ago they were transferring that crap all day just because. I mean, law firms nowadays are being bombarded by marketing calls like twice or 3 times a day. This is a good one.
Yeah,
this is a
so
good podcast.
This
We're
is
at
also
40.
longer than we thought, actually.
I thought this was going to go for 12 minutes.
12 minutes max.
No, we were talking about Yelp for 12 minutes.
Yeah.
But
So after talking about these companies,
I just had one last little tidbit for Yodel.
All right, good.
I mean, just like to close that out.
Yeah.
For like salespeople to be capable of calling the same place 2 or 3 times a day, like one business, that means that they employed like thousands of salespeople. And I can guarantee you it's probably one of the most lopsided businesses in this industry that has probably thousands of salespeople and like 100 people that actually like do stuff.
I bet it's less than 100.
It's probably like 3,000 salespeople and 15 SEOs.
It's like a boiler room.
It's probably like 15,000 salespeople and 2 SEOs.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 20 SEOs, honestly.
Oh, that was more than I originally said.
Yeah.
I said 15. No, I said 30. You're right.
Yeah. I like, honestly, if it was 20 SEOs, I'd be shocked.
And then the manager of all the SEOs is probably just like, I don't know, just do it when you
Dude,
can.
I don't care. They're paying me.
They're just like, these 84 new clients that we just got, none of them get blogs.
So we said earlier that we were going to rank them at the end here.
Oh, okay, so.
So why don't you go first? You rank yours.
I think Yodel is across almost most industries one of the most despicable companies I've ever encountered. So they're number one. You want me to do the whole list, or we're doing one?
You got to rank them all.
One, I mean, they're worse. I mean, I think Yelp for me is number 2, just because of just the kind of like the guidance and the mindlessness of their reps and their account managers, like just being like, it's gonna work, just give it time. Like 7 months in, and I'm like, it doesn't work. I have all the metrics, I have call tracking, I have form submissions, I have
Let
analytics.
us out of this contract.
And they're like, well, there's a cancellation fee, and they're just like so like not clear and transparent about the length of the contracts and cancellation fees and everything.
It's like they know. They know it's BS.
I just
they
feel
know
like,
it.
I feel like the reps deep down inside are like, man, this crap doesn't really work, and then they pitch it till no end anyway. So I really, really just don't like Yelp. 3, or I'll just do mine. Yeah.
Okay.
3 is Yext. I think we're probably gonna have the same 5, but
No,
yeah,
I think I have a different one. Go ahead.
3 is Yext. Just because paying for a product and then reverting it is bullshit, and that's out of control. 4, which is I think way far down, because those top 3 are way up there in bullshit. And then number 4 is Yahoo, and number 5 is Yellow Pages, because I didn't really care about Yellow Pages.
So ours are pretty close, but a little different. So number 1 is
Yodel.
Yodel. Sorry.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say YOLO for some reason.
Well, because you do.
YOLO. No, Yodel, number 1 for me, for sure. After that is going to be Yext.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why it's not Yelp. Because with Yelp, you can at least make money. You can't make money from using Yext. You
You're
can
right.
manually do all the stuff that
you just
Yext
lose-
does.
I mean, they're a great point. I mean, Yext would like you to pay them $500 indefinitely for the rest of your life.
Yeah, they'd love for you to do that.
For a few hundred citations that are
They'll
like fine.
give you like 0 customer service, provide very little value, and take $500 from you per business listing for the most part.
That's a good point. I guess the only reason I say
that's why I hate them.
That's the only reason that Yelp is because my clients, I've like all the clients
Yeah.
that I've tried Yelp, and they've just lost so much money.
So we got Yodel.
That's why.
We got Yext.
Yeah.
Now we have Yelp, which I mean we talked about earlier, but like Yelp sucks to deal with. I hate like the BS they have about like the reviews. They think that they're way better than they are, right? We have after that is Yahoo, because Yahoo honestly like sucks. You can't talk to anyone. It's impossible to talk to anyone. And at the very last part of it, who I feel bad for.
I feel like we just feel
Honestly,
bad for them.
I feel bad for is Yellow Pages, because like they were a thing, they were a very successful thing for many years. I remember when like I remember looking up people in the phone book as a child, looking up people's numbers before like cell phones were a thing. Yeah. And I feel bad for them because like they know they're on their way out. They're not gonna last for much longer. So they got to milk it for what they have.
It's funny because it's like in reality, there's almost like 4 Ys. It's like Yodel, Yext, freaking Yelp, and Yahoo. Like, but then Yellow Pages over there.
Yeah, right.
It's just like I'm not
stupid.
Even, I'm like I'm not
You're not as bad as the rest of these.
Like y'all tried. You didn't do anything bad.
I've never met like a rep that was evil or like
no. And then when we stopped working with them, they're like, okay,
yeah, whatever. Like we know this is not gonna. We know.
I know. I saw the metrics. I didn't really see any good calls either.
But so that recaps our list of the why internet marketing companies that you have to deal with. For the most part in SEO and why we hate them.
Yeah, like so next time you're going to partner with someone, just ask yourself,
is there a why at the beginning of this name? Is there a why? And if it does, you should probably not do that.
You might have to say, yikes. Or
unless it's YouTube, which is cool.
Yikes.
You should do YouTube marketing. It's great.
Well, it's been really fun. This is a good, we talked about a lot of things.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. We're going to have, hopefully a lot more of these coming. We're almost at 50 downloads. So thanks, Mom, for downloading 48 of these.
Thanks, Mom, to me for figuring out how to get.
Did you just thank my mom?
No, my mom.
Okay. Maybe they split them.
Thanks, my mom.
But yeah, so hopefully, we're going to grow this, and we're having a really good time doing it.
Yeah, don't forget to email in. The email
That's not even a thing.
Don't forget to call Paul.
Oh, man.
On a cell phone.
Actually, we are going to be launching a website for this over the next week where you guys can submit questions, or we're going to actually probably have some better guests, some more known guests on this podcast in the future. I'm not going to tell you who.
Buddy Dyer?
No one knows who that is in this.
Orlando.
SEO-related podcast people. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Maybe we get Will Reynolds.
Right?
Do some real company shit.
Is that true?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Made that
Anyways, stay tuned and find out if we get Will Reynolds. But thank you for listening. This has been another episode of SEO is Dead and Other Lies. I'm Paul Warren.
And I'm Ryan Klein.
Have a good day.
Take care. Bye.